the latest Garland presentation, which will give you an overview of our individual products. And if you want me at another stage to go through how to set them up and configure them, I can go through with you a selection of products at another time, configuring and set them up.
Yeah, Neil, I think if we'd want to potentially go through that, the P10G SFP-BP-FE box.
And we have the extra tap.
Because that's the extra tap.
That's the extra tap. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is that what you're particularly wanting?
Yes, yes. It is connected to the network. We can share a screen. And but what still I have gaps is to understand in the perspective of tabs, if there are dedicated, let's say, inputs from the targets for the destinations and other for the targets, how you are distinguish between them, how you connect them, and few words also about all the let's say the functionalities, capabilities. If we are talking about aggregating, if we are talking about bypassing, broker, packet broker, and such. This is in short, the terminology and the theoretical topics behind it, but mostly on the practical side, to understand, let's say, if I would like also to size or to fit the right unit to the requirement. What are the, let's say, the considerations and such?
Okay. Okay. Let me, while we're talking at the moment, I'm going to turn one of those devices on for you, so I can quickly. Let me see. Hopefully, it's the right one that comes on. I will turn.
I have one. I have one in our network that do mostly most of the things.
Okay.
Extra stuff.
So I've just plugged an extra tap in, so it will take me a few seconds to bring that extra tap up and look at it for you. So it will take me just a couple of seconds, and I'll have an extra tap.
Don't you prefer to do it on our unit?
It won't be as easy because I don't know what I'm doing to your unit.
I did not have a story.
Log into you, and remotely logging into you is not particularly not going to be easy.
No, I'm. You are asking for the control, and I provided the control, and you're actually doing it on my unit.
Really? So
yes?
If I stop sharing my screen.
No, let's try. Okay, I will share my screen. Just a moment for just to check it. Where? You are still sharing your screen.
Yeah, I've got to get it to. Sorry, it's Teams. I need to stop sharing. I don't know how I do that on here.
You have a cross to push somewhere.
So I should have stopped sharing, have I?
Yes, it is not shared. Now, where is my sharing? Okay, I will share. You see my screen? This is the unit.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
The unit, and now you are asking for a control, and I allow it.
Oh, really?
Let's give control just a moment. Okay, I can see it only for internal.
Yeah, because I'm going through your firewall if I do that.
No, it's permission. You don't have where you can ask for permission or request for control?
I don't have a button that asks for that, no. Hang on a second. More actions. I'm just asking for more actions. No, I don't get one that asks me to ask for control. Raise a hand, show the conversation, show participants. Just a second.
Okay, I said that if we don't find it, we'll go to your platform. It is recorded
Just a
anyway.
second. I'm just getting my platform up at the same time.
Okay.
Means opening
Okay.
different browsers and setting things up. Just 1 second.
No problem.
Okay, so now
I will stop
I share
sharing.
the screen. If I share my screen, you
Please.
should be able to see exactly the same as yours.
Yes.
So there, that is that particular device. Okay.
Okay.
That is that particular device. So you've obviously now set your one up anyway. So you've managed to set your chassis up. So here, when we have the initial dashboard, that shows you the products. And as we see here, there's nothing set inside this box at all. System is where we come through from the initial installation. So system on this box is giving me software version 1.13.3, which is the latest update. And obviously it's my MAC address, the serial number, the chassis model, and the chassis name is what I've called it. So that's my system info. General is where I can change the chassis name. So if I edit the configuration, I can give it the name that I want it to be. And this is where the timeout is. Now, depending on what you want and where your customer is where you need to take that timeout between 60 and 3,600 seconds. Because this is a demo one, I have the timeout set quite high, because 60 seconds, if you're not typing, it's surprising how quick you get logged out.
Yes, we experienced it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, admin, this is giving you all the users that can handle in that box. So the users here, this is where you would add another user. So I have the privileges of operator and admin. To add a user, I would add another user, put the username in, the password, and then the groups I want them to deploy to. So the operator group or the admin group. Now, when you do this, you need to come back and think of these options here and think of what these specific options are. They are fairly obvious when you read them, as in setting or configuring. But we have a book as well, the manual as well, that goes through and tell you what every one of those are. So they are pretty simple. You can come through and do your authentication settings here as well. So I have local authentication login or TACAS authentication login to TACAS that way. Network settings are the obvious ones where we've got DHCP, I've got it turned off, my IP address, the mask, the gateway, and my DNS servers. Now, I can then upload as well private certificates in there. So if I want to upload a private certificate, I can upload a private certificate inside there. Date and time, again, is fairly obvious. I'm in Europe and London. Time serving is set off, turned off for network time protocol, and the address is all hashed out.
A remark. We could not find something like Israel.
No, you probably won't get Israel. I don't know where the settings are. I don't know where the settings would be, so I suspect you won't find Israel. Yeah, it's giving me London because that's where I am. Time zone. I think you'll find it's either Central Europe, Asia Pacific, or the USA. I don't think it defines any further closer down than that.
No, it is not.
No. Syslog, clearly this is where you're going to write your files to. So syslog is where you'll be writing your syslog configuration to and running all your configurations from. SNMP, again for your SNMP servers. And you can edit the configuration and obviously go backwards and forwards for your SNMP server. This is export configuration, used quite a bit actually. Export is where it takes the configuration from one tap and loads it into multiple. So if I have multiple taps that I want to set up to be the same, or even packet brokers as well, I will set that up and send that back down again to where it is. So I'll download it and then I'll import it back into another one. So I'll import the file to a separate tap. So it's the quickest way to set up multiple taps or packet brokers. Software upgrade is very simple. So you just browse for the specific file and then press upload and reset. And it will upload and reset the tap. So it takes about 5 minutes all told. And it will go on and set about 5 minutes and it will upload the file, decompress it, check it, and then reboot the tap straight afterwards. So if we go back to system or the dashboard, you can see I have this set up as filter. So on filter, this is now a packet broker. So I have it set up not as a tap, as a packet broker.
How do you know it is a packet broker now?
Because this has been set to filter. So if I take filter off, watch the top. So we've got dashboard, packet broker, port info, and system. So if I take this back, this is now going to be a bypass tap the moment I do this.
How do you do it?
This drop-down menu gives me the options. Bypass, span, breakout, filter, aggregate.
You pressed it because we do not see anything.
You can't see my screen.
No, we see your screen, but once you put the arrow there, we did not show the options.
I don't know what's happened. Oh.
Okay, okay.
So the drop down,
we cannot see.
The drop down is giving me options of bypass, span.
Just a moment. I will go to my dashboard and see the options. No, I can see it. Okay. Okay.
So
for some reason, you cannot see options.
Bypass, span,
packet inject, breakout, filter, aggregate, filter tap, and bypass.
Okay. So at the moment, that will be the different tap settings. So if you do bypass, it will be a bypass tap to be used in line. Span will be where you're going to connect it up to a span port of a switch, and it will be a regeneration tap then and send everything back through. Breakout will be its normal mode. Filter will be a packet broker, and aggregate is where you'll be taking the data from port 1 and 2 to 3 and 4. So you'll notice as soon as I hit bypass and set, up the top in the black, you'll see the packet broker will disappear. So if I hit that now, it's now been set to bypass mode, and it's now a bypass tap. It's no longer a packet broker. So I don't have any option now. So I'm a bypass tap, and that is where I am. So I'm now a bypass tap. If I go back to my dashboard, you'll see it refresh, and it's just a bypass. It's an ordinary tap now. So it's a tap in bypass mode, and the light has come on to tell you it's a bypass tap.
Just a moment. And this bypass, port 1 and 2 are connected to what? And 3 and 4 connected to what?
Okay, so 1 and 2 will be the network. 3 and 4 will be the inline tool, because it's now inline.
Just a moment. I have, if I would like, port number 1 will be the in of the network, and port 2 will be the out of the network. Yes or no?
Yes, but what will happen is the data will go from port 1 into port 3, out of port 4, and back into port 2.
Mm-hmm.
because it's inline and it's expecting an inline tool such as a firewall or something like that to be on ports 3 and 4.
Okay, we connect to this extra tap only one device for bypass.
So if it's bypass, bypass will be something like a firewall. So you'll make it because the tool is inline inside the network and is actually in the network, so it's in line. If it's in terms of normally a tap, that's a specific mode of a tap, a bypass tap, where what we do is we send the data from 1 to 3. It travels round from 3 through the tool, back into 4, then out to 2, back onto the network again. And the tap will be sending a heartbeat down 3 to the tool and 4 to the tool to ensure that that device is still available. If that device goes offline, we shut the ports off so the network is flowing from 1 to 2.
Automatically, it is done by the heartbeat.
Automatically, yes, you set the bypass up. Yep, so if we came in here for bypass taps, here we go, look, it's the settings. These are the heartbeats. So it's going to go, if it loses 10 heartbeats, it will fail over and ensure the network is working. Here we're saying it's the number of heartbeats a second. So it's effectively in this time 1 heartbeat and the network goes. So let's make it the full 100. So here, the maximum is 1/10 of a second before the network fails. So we keep back on and the network is still running. So if we come up here, there's a little tool there and you can name this device. So you can put a name up there on that little box.
Okay.
Okay. So now it's a bypass tap because we actually set it in that bypass mode and you can see it coming up.
Okay, question. This is only one device bypass. Probably you have one inline network, let's say inline and outline, and couple of devices that you can switch to the same unit, other units, I mean.
Well, you wouldn't do that with this product.
No, why not?
Because this is a tap to do one device. What you need is one of the things like our edge lens range to do multiple devices. So the edge lens will allow you to duplicate the packets down multiple devices.
That means
what you're asking the tap to be is active standby or active now. You're asking it to poll 2 separate devices.
Okay.
So in this instance, you're asking it to do one device. If you take something like our edge lens focus, that can do up to 2 devices onto it. So it's the number of devices you add onto it, and then we have to parallel them up as well. So this is designed for one specific inline tool.
So the maximum that a Garland unit can do is 2 in concurrent. Okay,
no.
So how many? How many?
No, you could go much further than that. Depending on the edge lens that you put in there, you can have up to what we call 4 entities. And each entity can be up to 3 tools inside it. So you could actually be 12, depending on the product.
Just a moment. When you are saying 3 entities, 4 entities, 3 devices, let's say, that means that on one network, in and out, you can activate or be in charge of bypassing of maximum of 3 devices, which means 6 ports.
Yes, so it's difficult without a drawing in front of me, but if you have multiple entities together, which could be 2 devices, you have to make a decision of what you want them both to do.
Mhm.
So
Indeed.
if it's, say, a decryptor and the re-encryption fails, you probably want the decryptor to also come out of the network, because you don't want pure traffic to come in. So you have to start taking some decisions in those instances, what you're doing, and that is a completely different product to this.
Okay, and I also know that you can activate it in parallel many of these extra tasks. We got also the cells that go into the rack mount, and we have 3 or 4 holes there. So you can activate them separately. But I meant in one unit. Okay, I think I was answered. We can go on.
Okay, so this is a bypass setting of attack. The next one is span. So we set it up as a span mode. And now you see the ports on yours will have changed completely. So you've lost the bypass setting up here. You've now just got the port info and the dashboard. So in span mode, the data from port 1 is going to be sent to port 3, and port 2 will be sent to port 4. Because here we're looking really at, or 1 you can set up to go to 3 and 4. So what we're looking for is maybe just coming off of the span port of a switch. So it's just connecting directly to a switch off the mirroring port and transferring the data across to the other ports.
Okay.
In fairness, you probably wouldn't use this tap for that mode, because there are other more cost-effective taps than this to do that.
Why? I can take one switch to port 1 and the second switch to port 2, and to duplicate them to 3 and 4 together, each one of them. So
no, that would be a different mode. That would be a different mode again. That would be aggregation mode.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I say typically you wouldn't use this tap in that mode, because there are a lot more cost-effective ways of doing it than this specific way.
Okay.
Packet injection is where we're going to put data back into the link. Breakout, if you go breakout mode, so now
Just a moment, because we do not see your droplet. You talked about packet injection. Few words about packet injection again?
Packet injection is we will inject data back into the link. So we're checking the link to packet to inject data back.
What is the flow in the ports?
The flow will be the same flow again as we had before, but we're injecting data back down towards the span port.
From the one that, let's say on port 1 there is a switch.
Yeah.
Is sending the span to the extra tap. Now you are saying that it is going back?
Yes, we're injecting traffic back into the link to check the link.
Okay.
But as I say, this tap would not be, it's an option inside the tap, but it would be very, very rare that you'd use this tap for span, because there are much more cost-effective ways of using this.
Okay.
So breakout, we are now a traditional tap. So the data from ports 1 to 2 in the traditional way will be broken out, and you'd get port data going from 1 to 2 coming out of port 3, and data going from 2 to 1 going out of port 4.
I think I lost you on this.
Okay, so if you had a switch connected to here and a router there, you get the data that's flowing this way from port 1 to 2 would come out of port 3.
Okay.
Because it's a full duplex link, the data from 2 flowing this way back to 1 would come out of port 4. So you
Okay.
have the data
Yeah.
stream, say 1 gig coming out of this one and 1 gig coming out of that one.
Full duplex, in and out. Either
Yeah.
from the.
It
Okay.
is full duplex. You've got it in both directions.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a traditional mode of a tap.
Okay.
Then the next mode is back to where we started off from. So let's go to the one afterwards, aggregate. Aggregate. Now what's going to happen, you'll see exactly what will happen is the data that comes from this way, 1 to 2, and the data that goes from 2 back through this way to 1 is sent out of port 3 and port 4. So you get 2 complete copies of the data. Now we need to remember, of course, if this is 10 meg and this is 10 meg, then you will lose data down this port.
Yes.
Because you're aggregating the full duplex data back on both of those links. Okay?
Just a question.
The last one.
A question on aggregation, Nate.
Yep.
I have 2 sources, switches on 1 and 2. Okay? That are doing the span.
No, you'll have a switch here, and something else is going to there. Yeah. So port 1 is maybe a switch, and port 2 is a switch.
Yes, different, 2 different switches.
Yeah.
I'm doing the span from the switch to this port. Okay?
No, don't do the span. You can't do span with aggregate.
Okay.
No, because you'll have to go back to span mode now.
Just a moment. Just a moment. This is exactly the use case that I would like to understand. When I'm doing the aggregation, I take 1 port from the switch and put it on port 1. Okay?
Yeah. I'm just gonna flick at the same time. Just a second while we're doing this to a slide that might make this easier for you. Just a second.
Okay. Okay.
Just trying to find the mode of taps because this is where you're struggling with mode of taps. Okay, so I guess you can't see this slide, can you?
No.
Okay, let me go back to here and then I'm going to stop sharing and then open a different share.
Okay.
Right. So now this is how taps actually work. So this is the this is 3 of the 4 modes that taps work in. So your mode here that you're calling span mode is very bad. Span is called regeneration. So span, you connect 1 switch onto port A, and then B, C, and D get the 3 copies of the data. Okay. So if you were sending it to 3 different places, that is where you use the span mode, the regeneration mode.
Okay.
Okay. So what we just seen is breakout mode. So the data comes from the router through to the switch and then comes out of the C port and comes out of the D port. So when you're in breakout mode, you always need 2 ports on your packet broker. Otherwise, you will only see half the data. And then regeneration mode, in aggregation mode, sorry, is where you send the data from A to B, B to A down both the C and the D port. So that's the 3 modes of out of band for a tap.
Just a moment.
I confess that we are confusing because span, we mix it ourselves between regeneration and span, but it's the same thing. You're regenerating the data all the way out.
A question about the capabilities. Let's say in the aggregation mode, okay? We need A and B to get the all transportation of the line. This is understandable.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, on these configurations that we have in the extra tap or the 4 ports, let's say on C, I would like to aggregate them, but on D, I only want to get only let's say the inbound traffic.
No,
Can it
you
be
can't.
done?
No, you can't do that. You're asking
Okay.
the tap to do 3 different modes in one way. So
Okay.
if you're in breakout mode, you get it to C and D. In aggregation, you get all of the data from down C and all of the data down D.
Okay. No fine tuning on this.
Pardon, I didn't hear. Sorry.
No fine tuning or other
No,
configurations.
no,
than
there's
than
nothing
what
you
we
can
see.
do. Aggregate just aggregates the ports up and sends it out.
Okay. A few more questions. In the tap breakout,
Yep.
you are only breaking the transportation to inbound and outbound, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you activate some manipulation on it, or you must do the filtering in order to do so on this mode, in the breakout?
You,
Once again, I say it is not understandable. Once again, here you in the, let's say, left position of tap breakout.
yeah.
The only possible option is doing what we see in this slide here. Only, no other setting.
You can do that, but you can on certain taps, but not all of them, filter what goes down C and D mode. So you can
Okay.
make some filtering, but it will be both the same on C and D. So depending on the tap, you can filter, but not all taps will do that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this breakout mode is the normal mode that you use taps. That's
If
the
you
normal,
want,
that is the normal mode that taps are used in.
yes, if you want to take, I can see also, I have it in the aggregation, I also have it, or the all transportation.
Yeah, that's the way to see everything. Aggregation mode, you usually use it when you've got slow speed links. It
Because
tends,
it is double it.
but there are specific taps that will aggregate maybe a number of smaller, slower speed links to a higher speed link. There are certain taps that do that. So if I was to come on to here, if I was to come on to this slide, there are taps that do things like this. So I'm just trying to find the right tap. So if we look at this one here that says aggregator taps, that takes 4 taps here and aggregates them out of 1 gig links. So that takes 4 taps that run at 10 gig or 1 gig and aggregates them out of a 1 gig link. There are versions that do it 10 gig as well. So there's multiple different taps that do different options around that area. But the common normal mode is this breakout mode. So many taps will do lots of different modes. But if you have something like a passive fiber tap, that is only a breakout tap. That is what it does. It just breaks out the data all the time.
Okay. Can you go to the first slide that you show us?
Just a sec. Back to this one.
Yes, few more questions. Also, there's many questions that I have. In this specific, let's say on the regeneration.
Yeah.
The regeneration, it is like our extra tap.
Well, the extra tap can do regeneration. That extra tap that you've got can do regeneration. So what will come out, go into the A port, will go into B, C, and D. So it will send it out B, C, and D on regeneration. You can use it for regeneration. However, there are cheaper taps that do the same thing.
Okay, so the extra tap can do
It can
one.
do regeneration, yes, it can do regeneration, but there are other products that do it cheaper.
Okay, because I saw functionally, I saw 2 groups of ports in the extra tap. I saw the ones on the left and there were those on the right.
Okay, so the extra tap has like the picture up the top here with 1, 2, 3, 4 ports on it.
Exactly, yes.
So when you set it to regeneration, port A will be the first port on the left, which will go to the switch. Ports B, C, and D will send that traffic to all there. B, C, and D will get one copy of it.
Okay, so I cannot put two links to do the regeneration, only one.
No, that's that's the idea of a regeneration tap. You take it out and you regenerate it across a number of ports.
Okay.
There are ways of doing that with other taps, but not with this particular tap.
And you provide, let's say, tabs that we can play with this configuration? Or you have another?
We have lots of taps that do regeneration. So I'm just trying to think of it now. You see, this one here that we show here is a regeneration tap that goes up to 5 taps inside it. So we regenerate over 5 different ports. There are multiple taps that are designed for regeneration.
And this is fixed configuration, and I cannot replace by configuration the functionality of the ports, which means port 1 to 5 are taps only, and the other are regenerated.
Yeah, so what happens on this particular one, port 1 will regenerate over 5 ports. Port 2 will regenerate over another 5 ports.
Fixed configuration.
That's designed, but I'm trying to understand why you want to use a regeneration tap.
I would like to get and understand the flexibility that I have in this product.
Okay.
And the picture that I'm getting, that I must be at the beginning of the project very precise with the requirements. I do not have, let's say, degrees of freedom here.
You have to be precise in your requirement. You have a lot of freedom in this one box, but the freedom comes with the flexibility. You only have 4 ports. So if you were looking for a regeneration tap and you're going to connect one switch to 3 different devices, which is what you're doing, so you could have a SCADA fence, a Clarity, a Nozomi box, you could do that, but this is probably not the best tap to do it in, but you could show the capability to do it.
Okay, I will ask it differently. If I have 5 ports here now, and one that should be regenerated from one source of tap, okay?
Yeah.
I have now some kind of dynamic change in my network, and now I would like to regenerate 2 taps, 2 sources of taps. So is there any way to tell the port or number 2 that it is now doing the regeneration, but it is getting a source of a tap?
No, you can't. You can't. When it's regenerating, it's taking from port A to B, C, and D. So when it's regenerating, it's bringing this and sending it out to those 3 ports. You can't ask it to regenerate and say, send that to that one and that one, or that to that one. It's very simple, that one to 3 ports.
Okay, this was exactly the question.
Right, and normally with a regeneration tap, that's the case. You are fixed. It says, I'm a 5-port regeneration tap. So 1 port to there, the next 5 ports go to somewhere else.
Okay.
If it's a fiber one, and depending on how it's done, there are ways of putting crossover cables in and doing some little cheats to make it work. But that's generally how it works. You're sending out to multiple ports.
Just a moment, please. I need a picture. Yeah, sorry, I'm with you. Okay.
That's okay.
Once again, with the cross, what were your meaning? Sorry,
I didn't hear the question again. It's very distorted. I'm sorry.
Okay. you are talked about cloth cable and you split the system. Please repeat it.
So I still did blurred. So this tap will send out on regeneration to 3 ports. If you want higher, there are different taps to specifically do that. So if we go back to that tap, let me go back, and then I've got to find another screen, I think. Stop that sharing, open sharing, and come back to here. So I think now we're back on this tap. So when we got regeneration, which is called span, it's sending port 1 out to port 2, 3, and 4. When we have breakout, port 1 and 2, the data is coming out of port 3 and port 4.
Okay.
So that's a traditional tap as we use it all the time. Now, when we go to aggregate, port 1 and port 2, the data from east to west and west to east is coming out of both port 3 and port 4. When we come down here, the last mode is filter. So now when we set it up to filter, this tap can do lots of things now. So now filter mode, it's become a packet broker as well. So if I went to a configuration template, a configuration map, and create a configuration map, now you'll see my ports 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is where I can ask it to start doing things a little bit different. So I can ask the data come from port 1 to go to 2, 3, and 4. So it's almost regeneration. It is almost, in terms of that, regeneration, because port 1 is going to port 2, 3, and 4. So let's, okay, so if I'm going to clear that map, I could also now do a map that says port 1 goes to port 3. But remember, I've only got 4 ports to play with. Port 2 will go to port 3. But let's clear that one out. So let's go 1 to 3. I'll give it a name. We'll call it map 1 and save it. So if I go back to my map list, hang on a second. I'm going to save it here. Okay, so it's not letting me save it as it said until I have a filter enabled. So let's come back to filter templates before we do the map list. So let's clear the map and we'll go back to the filter templates.
Okay.
So before we do the map list, we're going to create a filter template. So we're going to call our filters work on pass everything, pass by everything, or deny. So I'm going to make a filter that says pass all. So it's not doing anything, it's letting everything pass through it. So I now create another template, which is pass by. So let's say I'm going to pass by a subnet. So I'm going to pass by a subnet. So we're going to choose the source IP address. Destination address. So my pass by template is going to be passed by a subnet. And I'll save that template. And just to be, if you created another one which was denied by, you've got the same options. So I could deny by, I'm going to deny by VLAN, yes. Let's do deny by inner VLAN of 1 and an outer VLAN of 2. So I've got 3 templates set up. So now I'm going to come to my configuration map. So I'm going to create a map. So I'm going to send everything from port 1 to port 3, and I'll let it pass by everything. So 1 to 3, pass everything, and save it. So my configuration map will show that port 1 goes to port 3, and I've got a filter on it. So I'm saving everything. I'm going to create another map that says port 2, and this might do some of what you wanted to do. Goes to port 4, but only by the subnet. And I'll save it. So this may do some of what you want to do. So for my first map is a filter map that says port 1 goes to port 3, everything is sent to it. The second map I have, port 2, will go to port 4, and but via that filter match that I put on there. So the filter match that I created of the subnet, only that is sent through there. So that
now
may
you have to apply
do some of what you want to do, but you're only sending, because you've only got 4 ports, you can only send 1 to 1 and 1 to 2 to 1, etc.
Understood.
Okay, so that might get round some of what you are trying to do, but you're really a port to port. Now I could change the priority of this.
Just a moment. How you applied? By putting in this way, they are automatically applied?
They are applied when I created the configure. If I go back to my filter, create a configuration map. Okay. So when I create the configuration map, when I'm saying go from port 1 to port 3, the filter is applied on the egress side of port 1. So when it leaves port 1, it will stop what is not allowed to come through. So there is where the filter is applied.
Understood.
Okay, so let's save that one as well. And I'll have 2 filters on there now. So port 1 to port 3, I have more than 1 filter on there. You can see this one, because I have another filter on there as well. I've applied more than 1 filter on there now, so I can raise the priority. So it'll do the first filter, then the second filter after it. I can edit it from there. So it's a pass all filter. If I want to edit that pass all, I can edit it there on the fly. So I can edit that pass all filter there. So I can actually edit that pass all filter.
So it's working like an accessory.
I can actively change it, yes. Yeah, I can actively change that filter on as it's working. So I can make it a deny by or pass by. So I can change that pass all filter and pass by something else. So let's add a VLAN, outer VLAN of 6. So I can change that filter on the fly. So I've changed it and added to it. So now I've added additional filter back into there as well. So I've added another filter inside that box. Obviously, because there's not running through anything happening, you won't see this increment. This would be changing and up all the time.
And the counters will be.
Yeah, the counters would be going up if you put traffic through there. So you would see the counters move up.
A question. As I can see, it's working like an accessory. Between first will be implemented first, and after we go to the next one with the next one.
This is the priority. Yeah, this is the priority. So you would change the priority if you needed to.
No, the following question is, what is the limitation of the numbers of policies here or maps?
Oh, If we go back to the filters, you can see, look, I have a number of 500 filters.
Okay.
And I've used 3 of them. So it tells me at the top how many I have. Because this is
I
a
can
tap,
see it now.
don't forget. So this is a tap. It does 500 filters.
Okay. Okay.
So if I come back in here, if I put port 4 there, I think I can put a filter there. No, I was trying to see if it would allow me to egress filter, but it won't. It won't on this particular box. It needs to be the bigger box for filtering. So it's 440, you know, it's 400. I've used 3 of the 500 filters that I have inside that chassis.
You were available filters. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I go back to the map list.
Yeah, because you took 3. You
Yeah,
already
I put
occupied
3
3 of them.
filters on. I put 3 filters on. I put 1 on every one of these boxes, one of these ports.
Yes.
If I added another
Okay.
filter, I could create another filter, and you'll see that come down to 496. It's a lot of filters for a tap, to be fair.
Yes, in terms of 4 ports, yes. But if we're talking about more ports or more combinations, might be not enough.
Yeah, well, when you get to the bigger packet brokers, it's more filters.
Okay.
So the 10 port version of this will be, I think it's 2000 filters.
Okay.
And up here, the last part, your port info, is where you set the port speeds up. So here, the mode, normal is as they obviously work. Loop back, so you can send the data back into the port again. Listen only. I'm not sure what listen only is, actually. I'd have to look at the manual to see what listen only is. And force the link, so you can force the link up or down. So you can force the link in whichever way you want it to be. The 2 that you normally use are loop back and normal, to be fair. Loop back is you'll send the data back inside the box. So if I was to go back to the dashboard and I'd send from port 1 to port 3, looping it back would send it straight back into the box again. So I could then send it from port 3 out to another port.
Loop back does not mean that you are sending it back to 1?
No, it means you're sending it back in. So sometimes what happens is that somebody wants to have a port set up on a packet broker for test purposes, and they want to plug a tool in at different times. So say we have port 1 aggregated to ports 3, 4, and 5 on a packet broker. But they often want to use, let's say, port 7 to be a random port where they plug something in temporarily. So what we do is we say ports 3, 4, and 5 are joined by port 6. So they all get a set of the traffic. We will loop port 6 back and then make another aggregation from port 6 to port 7. It sends another copy of the traffic somewhere else. So it's often used for a debug tool. Sometimes you use it if you have a deduplication box on there as well, because you loop the port back to itself again. So it's a way of sending the traffic back into the packet broker. Then you can decide where it goes.
And this is by the force link.
Well, you could do it. It's because you've only got 4 on this box. It's a difficult one to explain. But you would normally, you would loop back and loop it back into the box again, and then send that to somewhere else. I'm just trying to see how I can demonstrate it on 3 ports. It's not easy to demonstrate on 3. Okay, so I'll make port 3 a loop back. So let's come back now to port configuration, back to my packet broker. I'm going to have to delete all of these now to do this. So I'm now going to create a configuration map that port 1 goes to port 3, and it doesn't make a lot of sense on this packet broker. And
It's a loop back.
yeah, well, port 4, which was my loop back, which one did I go back to? I looped back. Oh, none of them loop back. Hang on a second. I'm going to loop back port 3. Okay, so come back into the packet broker, create a configuration map. So if I send port 1 to port 2 and port, I haven't got enough ports. I run out of ports.
You don't have the 3.
Normally what you do is you put port 3 in there. So the data is being sent to port 1, from port 1 to port 2 and 3. But I have a temporary device that I want to not be using all the time, only plug in. So I have got, say, port 6 there. And what I want to do just for a short period of time is send the data from port 3 to port 6. So this data from port 3 is looped back into the packet broker, and then I put port 3 back on this side again, which this won't let, and send it back out again that way. So the data would be going 1 to 2 and 3. 3 would come back to this side and then back to that side again. But on this packet broker, it's not got enough ports to make it a sensible.
So why it is temporarily? Because if you will put it and it will be stay there, it's going to be constant. Then you can take it also from 1 to 3 or 6.
Yes, but that's not what people want to do. People want to make temporary port to mirror to somewhere else just for, say, a few minutes. Because they have a problem and they want to use this as a debugging tool. So what they do is they loop the port back in again and then put a temporary port back in, and then they can apply filters on that port. So they use this as like a debugging tool. Unfortunately, this has only got 4 ports. It's difficult to show you what you would do across a 10-port box. The functionality is here because the functionality is the same in all our boxes. But
a dumb question. Maybe it is a dumb question, but can't you do it the scenario that you are talking about upon the port to be the temporary one?
It's difficult. I'm not explaining it very well because there's not enough ports inside this packet broker to show it. If you had a 20-port packet broker,
no, I'm talking about 4 ports, the current configuration. You are taking port 1 to port 2, and 3 is the loopback that crossing it back to 3 on the ingress.
Yeah.
And afterwards, it's sending it, and now you put, instead of the lower port that you put, it would be 4, or it is 4.
Okay, so take that one out. Take that one out. So I'm sending it back to and take that out. So 1 goes to 2, and I've got a temporary one called 3 there. So if I save that, what I really should be doing now is going back to the map list. Hang on a second. It may not want to do this because I'm asking it to do something a bit strange. So save that. Then really what I would be doing is saying here 3, which has now a copy of what's going from 1 to 2, send it to 4.
Yes.
But now filter it. So what would happen is 1, as we've seen from the map, 1 is going to 2 and 3. But now I'm saying 3, which has a copy, which is going from 1 to 2, send it to 4. But put that filter on it as well.
Let's see.
And now it shows up here. It goes from 1 to 2 to 3, but 3 then goes back to 4 again.
Okay, so this is exactly what you want.
That's what I want, but it's not sensible in that packet broker, really.
Yes, because we have too few ports, but
yeah.
it is a
that's what the idea is for.
Okay. Okay.
So you put a temporary device on there to try and monitor it for whatever specific reason.
Okay, so all the kinds that we spoke about, whether it is, just a moment, I will go to my dashboard, whether we are talking about bypass, span, breakout, filter, and other, it is specifically, there is this data on the data sheet to know who is reflecting the transport or the traffic to which port in each mode. It is specified in the manual, I believe.
It is specified, but we've also done another thing that Caitlin's just mailed me as well while we're talking that shows all this at the same time. So just a second.
Okay.
Caitlin mailed me at the same time. So there is also, oh my word, there is also a demo guide document, which I'll just fire up and open up for you. And that, I'm going to have to share a different screen now. Stop sharing, open the share tray is, I think, this one. Okay, so this is a product that was a demo guide document that we've just written as well, that's in the process of being drafted, that shows you the different modes of this box. So this will actually show you how to go through it and set it up. So there we go, look, it shows you breakout copies of the traffic. So there's the box and the breakout tab below it.
That's a very good document.
And it shows you all there's the aggregation mode, C and D. So it's all broken down line by line inside it. Regeneration, A going to B, C and D. So you can see all the templates and everything all listed down for the various different modes inside this document.
Very nice. I, of course, would like it a lot, this
Yes.
document.
Yeah, we'll send it to you, right? We will get it over to you guys.
It's in draft at the moment, yeah. I didn't know you were still there, Caitlin.
Yep, no, I'm here.
So it's in draft. You can see Caitlin's editing something at the moment.
But if you can open the manual that is on the web, in case I do not have this manual or the doc one, I would like to see how I see in the manual the different modes and the functionalities of the port.
Let me quickly look. So extra tap solutions support. I go to the support page, installation guides. Got to find it now, actually.
I have some kind of PDF that is a manual. I would like to share it with you in a minute. Just a moment.
I'm just trying to find the manual for this box on there, actually. I think it's this one. That is it. So, quick start manual. Whoop. I'm not sure the manual shows you the flows. No, the manual doesn't. This is the quick start manual, is not showing you the flows. The document that we just sent you, that I've just shown you, does show you the flow.
Oh, yes, it is a very good one.
Yeah, that one shows you the flow. This one shows you the flow. So it's actually showing you the flow. So you can see breakout copies, A to B, C to D. So it's showing
yes, this is very good. This is very good.
Yeah.
I just have what? Just a moment. It is the modular chassis available. Okay, this is the 4 extra tab, or I can see 4 of them in a shelf. And it is only speaking how to communicate with them and to activate them to provide IP and such, not how to manipulate and to do the configurations of the. Okay, this is not the one.
This is going to show you how to manage them and do the configuration, this document.
Yes, this is a very good one.
Yeah, this one's showing you the management and the configuration.
Okay, I'm anxious to get it.
It's that bit that you're needing, I think, isn't it? It's this bit here.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it finished yet, Caitlin, this document, or are we still drafting it?
No, it's finished. So I
It's
have it in an email to send over right as
Yeah.
soon as the call is. Just keeping it in case there's any additional things we want to link up before I
Okay.
send it off.
So I think this is the one you really need.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this interface is the same for all of our products. So all of these green type of boxes look exactly the same with that interface. So whilst they may not be taps, if they're a packet broker, they'll look exactly like this at the bottom. So the packet broker setup will be the same. So if it was an edge lens or something called the GAA 10G, the 10-port aggregator, the setup is exactly the same as this. So
This is exactly the reason why we asked to get a box or a unit or with the most functionalities that Garland can offer.
Well, this is the extra tap is the one that gives you the most functionality in the smallest box.
Indeed.
Because it allows you to do all those different tapping modes and this packet broker mode. But of course, there is the limitation inside of what you can do with 4 ports.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, I think actually we got all the info that is required. I can't think about more questions at the moment.
You could just mail me if you've got more questions.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Sure.
just mail me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll get this email right off that will have the link to the document. And after you review it, like Neil said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out and we can answer them in more detail.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're
Neil
welcome.
and Caitlin. It was very useful session.
Good, good. We're glad.
And we're waiting for the manual.
This is sending off right now.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a
So,
great
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.